Hello. We are back. Our Tuesday night show without Ashton tonight. He is out conquering the world. I am here to give you some advice for your fantasy football playoffs. First of all, congratulations if you made your fantasy football playoffs. Um, it's been quite a ride in a couple of my leagues. I have a couple of leagues. I have a couple of guillotine leagues, which for those who don't know, guillotine league, it's everyone versus everyone every week. The team who has the lowest amount of points gets cut from the league, and other players go on waivers. I'm in the final four in two of them. I'm in the money on two of them. So it's a really exciting way to play football. If you don't have a league like that started, get started. It's very intense. You are on the edge of your seat from kickoff on Thursday to the last game when the last game ends on Monday. But I'm not here to talk about my guillotine league. I'm here to talk about the fantasy football playoffs. I'm here to help you get ready for your fantasy football playoffs. As I think as we get into the fantasy football playoffs here, the um the kind of strategy behind it, the idea behind it, kind of shifts a little bit, right? We get to a point where if you made the playoffs, you have a pretty good reason why, right? You're riding kind of that starting lineup that you've been doing for a while now. So I'm here to maybe give you some ideas of what you can do with a bench. Maybe some defensive streamers if you're not a guy who has a solid. I should say guy or girl or who's ever playing fantasy football. If you're not a person who has a solid defense that you're looking forward to every single week. So let's just kick it right off the bat here. And if anyone watching, please drop some questions in the chat. I'm here to help you out. If you have any start sit questions, if you have any pickup, if you have any fab left, how much fab you should spend on these players. If you have any, you're looking forward, maybe you have a buy, you're looking to what can I do for week 16. Let me know. I'm here to help you out if you want to hear your answers. Anyone else too? If you're watching, drop your Spotify Wrapped. I know I'm a little bit late on this, but I love Spotify Wrapped. It's my favorite time of the year. I love music. So if you have anything that you're proud of, let me know. So let's kick it off. Just a couple of players off the top of my head who you should be looking at, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. But the first person that comes to my mind is Blake Corum for the Los Angeles Rams. Blake Corum is kind of in a situation now where it feels like the Rams are willing to go to that two running back look. Um, he's a guy who's continued to eat into, Kyron Williams. It felt like dominance over the backfield to start the year. But Blake Corum's coming off a two touchdown performance, 120 something yards. He's a guy who was flex appeal as it is, even with Kyron Williams on the field, right? It feels like the Rams are really comfortable playing both these guys to make sure that they're as healthy as possible come the playoffs. But with Blake Corum, as I mentioned, he's like at this point getting 8 to 14 carries, maybe a reception. Let's call it 11-ish touches a game. Um, he's doing as much as he can. He's being put into goal line situations. Blake Corum is certainly a flex if you need someone that you're looking to pick up right now that you don't feel very confident in your flex. He's very flexible. But if you're a Kyron Williams owner, this is especially important to pick up a Blake Corum. Um, uh, when we talk about these fantasy players, like I mentioned, you're probably not going to change much in your starting lineup, right? They're the team that got you here. They're the team that you're going to ride with to win a championship. But God forbid Kyron Williams goes down with a season-ending injury this week. Um, it's really hard to find a replacement, right? It's really hard to find a starting running back out there who can fill in and kind of help to mitigate what you're losing in Kyron Williams. So there's no really better option than to get the guy who replaces him, right? It feels like a seamless transition. Just take the guy who's going to come in and get the carries. So Karen Williams goes down, Blake Corum is the obvious, he's the obvious number one guy. I mean, I'm not scared of, Ronnie Rivers coming in or anything like that. So to kind of put a bow on that, I mean, Blake Corum has, right, he has the appeal as it is, as he's already getting carries with Kyron Williams on the team, but Kyron Williams goes down, Blake Corum instantly slots into that number one spot. And I think when you're constructing your bench for the playoffs, a lot of it is getting the handcuffs for the guys that have gotten you there. Another one that you can talk about is Jalen Wright with Miami, right? We saw Devon Achane go down with a rib injury, which it doesn't sound like it's too. Excuse me. It doesn't sound like it's too horrible or anything like that. It does sound like Achan's going to play. But Achan's a guy who has been banged up in the past. He's not the biggest guy. So picking his, his handcuff up is Jalen Wright, and we've kind of been doing this dance all season long of Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon. It, at least given what we saw last week, I mean, Jalen Wright plunges into the end zone, right? It feels like he's the guy who is really going to step up. He's a similar build to Devon Achan. He's not the same player, but a similar player, more so than Ollie Gordon, who can kind of come in and spell Devon Achan, and even give Achan some rest. As all of a sudden Miami is. I know it's two teams going in two different directions, but same record as the Chiefs. Miami's in the hunt. They won a game here. That they won a game there, and all of a sudden Miami's at 8 wins. And could do they make it to the playoffs? Probably not, but they certainly aren't out of it. Especially if you're a Devon Achan owner, you need to own Jalen Wright. Another guy we can talk about picking up, especially in a position where, unless you have a Trey McBride, a Brock Bowers, even a Travis Kelsey, you're probably searching for a tight end. I mean, it's hard to really argue with Harold Fannin. For anyone who's been watching these shows, anyone who's been reading articles these all year long, you know how much Flurry Sports has talked about Harold Fannin, playing that H back role, playing that. Is he a receiver? Is he a fullback? Is he a tight end? Is he a running back? Is he a tackle? No, he's everything. But it certainly appears that he is Shadir Sanders' go-to guy. Shadir Sanders starting the rest of the year, by the way. Shout out Shadir Sanders. But Harold Fannin, we saw how awesome he was in college at Bowling Green. Um, he's a legitimate, plug and place and don't think about a tight end. Like, moving forward for the fantasy playoffs, other than like the three guys I mentioned, I don't know that there's many other tight ends that you'd rather have than Harold Fannin, right? He's so involved in the offense. He's going to be on the field. He's going to be playing all these different positions. And Kevin Stefanski, Shadir Sanders in this offense is just looking to get the ball in his hands any way that they can. I mean, and he's for Shadir Sanders who's going to continue to develop. Into what the Browns need him to be this year. I mean, Harold Fannin is just the perfect big target. He's incredible at the run after catch. He's great blocking. He's going to be on the field, most of the time. And as I see some people coming in here, please drop any questions you have in the chat. I'm here to help you out. I'm here to help set your lineup for the playoffs. I'm here to answer any fantasy football questions. Here to answer really any questions you guys have. I'm just here to talk ball. Another tight end that is interesting to pick up. If he's still available, I would say go out and pick him. Um, is Theo Johnson with the New York Giants. Moving the rest of the way, the Giants have a like cakewalk schedule in terms of fantasy football. Give me 1 second, I will pull it up here. But I mean, right, if we're counting on the Giants, it feels like they got a little scared, right, with Jackson Dart going down with the concussion. He kind of feels like he's a franchise guy. If they're letting him throw the ball, like it feels like Theo Johnson is kind of that number one guy, right? So like if you're in a situation where you need a tight end, or maybe if you need a quarterback, I know that's kind of crazy to say. If you're in the playoffs, and you need a quarterback, but streaming quarterbacks is very it's a strategy. Jackson Dart's out there, pick him up. But let's talk. But looking at Theo Johnson, I mean, coming up the last four, for the fantasy playoffs, Washington or the Giants have the Commanders, cakewalk. They had the Vikings, who have played well in the past defense. But we know with that rush, the way to beat that is to get the ball quick. Theo Johnson is going to be perfect for that. And then the Raiders in the fantasy championship, like Theo Johnson is certainly a tight end that can come in and win you a champion. I'm not gonna say win you a championship, but he's a tight end who can come in and not lose you a championship, right? He's a really good piece to be a part of it, especially with that cakewalk of a schedule. Add into the fact that, right, if we're talking about quarterbacks, Commanders, Vikings, Raiders. I mean, and even if you go to week 18, the Giants have the Cowboys. Like Jackson Dart it feels like he has as good of opportunity as any, just given the strength of schedule to kind of go on a run here and be that, that championship winner for you. I'm just looking through. If anyone who's interested in this data, go to Buy Me a Coffee, search up Zach Bruner. He has all this information here. He has the fantasy playoff strength of schedule, which is really, really what we're looking for. We're looking for those flyers that we can put in and get some get some opportunity here. I don't know that they're going to be available. Houston Texans, probably the number one strength of schedule defense. It's been the best defense all year. Arizona, Las Vegas Chargers, not three of the not the greatest offenses. But looking at, on top of that, the run game for Houston is really interesting to look at. I don't think that you're ever going to confidently go into a week and say, hey, I really want to start Woody Marks this week. But given that if you're in a deeper league, there are opportunities there for Woody Marks to kind of be, that I'll say it again, but kind of that league winner. It reminds me a little bit of Jarek McKinnon a couple years ago. Not that he's going to put up 30 on any given week, but opportunities are available for for Woody Marks to succeed here. I'm just pulling up. He's owned in 74.2% of ESPN leagues. Now I know that seems like a high number, but if if you're looking to build a bench for, you can take a flyer. It's hard to argue that Woody Marks does not have a good schedule moving forward. Just to reiterate that it's Arizona at home, Las Vegas at home, and then at the Chargers in the championship, which we saw. Saw Saquon Barkley break a big one off and have, somewhat of a decent week against the Chargers. Speaking of Saquon Barkley, like I know there's a lot of people that have been soured on him this year, and sure that comes with the change in offense coordinator and change of game plan. But I want to read you Philadelphia's schedule here real quick. They have Las Vegas at home, at Washington, at Buffalo. So certainly those first two games, at Las Vegas and Washington, is it feels like this is kind of the time where Philadelphia can really figure out their offense. They went through kind of a tough stretch there. I know that Dallas game was kind of a bummer, but the Bears, Bears, I guess Bears can kind of be a bummer, but Philadelphia's still on top of the division. This doesn't feel like the Philadelphia team that won the Super Bowl last year, which for whatever my money's worth is one of the better teams in NFL history. There's probably some recency bias talking, but they were loaded at every position. To be honest, they're loaded at every position this year again. I think Philadelphia has two like really get right games in front of them here. To really get back to what we know the Philadelphia Eagles to be, and right, a lot of that relies on really getting Saquon Barkley going, especially with Vegas coming up. It feels like the game plan needs to be, run the football, do everything simple. Let's get Saquon Barkley out on the edge. Let's get Jalen Hurts moving a little bit to kind of counteract that, and let's get this run game back going to what we know it could be. And that's only going to free up that AJ Brown, that Dallas Goddard, that Devontae Smith connection. So does Philadelphia win these next two games? I think so. And at the point in this season, could we be talking about come week 18, Philadelphia being closer to the top of the power rankings than what they are? I certainly believe so. Marcus Soto in the chat. What's up, my brother? It's good to see you. Drop anything you got. I'm here to talk ball. Let's do it up. Let's win some money. Let's win some fantasy championships this week. I'm just perusing the rest of the strength of schedule here. I'll say if you're a Bo Nix owner, Denver has a brutal end of the year schedule for quarterbacks. If you can go a different route than Bo Nix, I would certainly suggest it. Green Bay has been awesome on defense. Jacksonville, who's had a really good defense year in Kansas City, who, you know, it is what Kansas City is what they are, but I mean they have been playing good defense, and it's going to be a divisional game at Kansas City. I don't love Bo Nix if you're starting him the rest of the way. On top of that, someone who really is a player that if you are a Bo Nix owner and you're looking for someone to maybe go out and get, like Jacoby Brissett is, I still like him a lot. He almost feels matchup proof at this point. Arizona Cardinals at Houston, which is not a great matchup. Atlanta, which is all right, and then Cincinnati in the championship, which I love. So if you can get through Houston, I think Jacoby Brissett is a guy that you can confidently start and kind of ride in the playoffs. Marcus with his team, 12-man full PPR, one flex. Quarterback Drake May, love. Running back Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, Derrick Henry, Woody Marks, love. Marcus, I know you. I don't know if you just got in, but I just kind of talked up Woody Marks. I think he's got a great schedule moving forward. Jason, Amon Ra, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, fine. Tight end George Kittle, Harold Fannin. Marcus, obviously I'm not in your league, but I would assume that this is one of the better teams. I assume you have a higher seed. If you're telling me to set this lineup, I assume it's two running backs, two receivers, one flex, and one tight end. Obviously, Drake, you're starting Drake May, starting Devon Achane. I'm starting Bucky Irving. I even with Baker Mayfield struggles, it's become certain that Bucky Irving is the guy that we know him to be. Wide receiver JSN and Amon Ra, you're starting. And tight end, you're starting George Kittle. And at your flex, I think you have an option between, Derrick Henry, Christian Watson. I'm curious to see how Christian Watson goes, and this is coming from a Green Bay fan who has notably been against Christian Watson since they drafted him. But let me tell you, he's playing really good football right now. The Packers are playing really good football right now. I don't love Watson this week against Denver. I don't. I think he probably has a good week against Chicago, and then I don't love him in the fantasy championship against Baltimore, whatever that's worth. But for Derrick Henry, just to read you his schedule, Baltimore is at Cincinnati, which I know that that game didn't look great on Thanksgiving. It's obvious that like Lamar Jackson has like 8 trillion injuries to his legs, which is kind of hindering this Baltimore offense, and which is kind of teams are able to kind of stack a box a little bit against Derrick Henry. But Cincinnati, I'm not too worried about is, but for their defense. New England, I'm more worried about their pass defense, and then at Green Bay, who you can certainly run against. Like I like Derrick Henry moving a lot in the fantasy playoffs. We know what Derrick Henry is when it gets cold out. We've seen Derrick Henry be the only player on his team, and he still comes out with 2,000 yards, right? So I think Derrick Henry is fine moving forward. You're probably starting him as your flex. Um, I know the full point PPR is kind of enticing to put a receiver in there, but with Christian Watson, you're getting what 4 catches a game. Harold Fant is kind of an interesting one, but it'd be really hard for me to start, a tight end for the Cleveland. No, I just talked to Harold Fant, but it'd be hard for me to start a Fannin over a Derrick Henry at my flex. But Marcus, I think you got a great team. Let me know. I assume you're the 1 seed, you're the 2 seed. Do you have a buy? How are you feeling? I think you have a championship team, right? You have Achan, Bucky, who are studs, and you have JSN and Amon Ra, who are both studs. And Kittle will be great the rest of the way. Just talking about George Kittle here, has the third best, strength of schedule for the at the tight end position with Tennessee, Indianapolis, and Chicago. Like George Kittle's another guy who if you have him on your team, I'm feeling pretty happy about that. We've seen George Kittle go, 10 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like I'm not saying he's going to do that all 3 weeks, but with these matchups, it's really enticing to keep George Kittle in and just ride him like kind of defenders do, right? Especially as San Francisco is making a run for the playoffs. It doesn't feel like they're being talked about a lot, even with the whole quarterback situation to start the year. Brock Purdy comes back. Mac Jones played good football this year, but Brock Purdy comes back, and this team is really kind of humming right now. And I think that kind of worked, right? They were in a situation where they did not have a good year last year. Everyone was injured. They kind of get a cakewalk schedule because of it, and they are reaping the benefits of that right now. Yeah, thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you being in the chat. Let me know if you got anything else. Um, just looking the rest of the way, 1 seed at 11-3, no bye week. Okay. So right, you are in a situation where yes, you actually have to care about it. I know that it's always nice to get that bye week, and you can kind of take a week off. You can sit back and watch the chaos happen, and you can sit back and kind of enjoy football. But I think that's kind of that's an interesting thing that you have no bye. But 11-3, you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. If you do have like Marcus, if you're tinkering with your lineup or if you have anything, we have shows, tomorrow and Thursday, to kind of really nail down the news and to kind of figure everything out before that Thursday night game. So definitely stop by again these next couple days. Um, Looking for anything else interesting in the fantasy playoff strength of schedule. I see more people coming in. Please drop any questions you have. Send me your lineup. Tell me what you think of your team. Let me know if you have any worries at any of your positions. I'll try to help you out. I won't try to help you out. I'll do my damnedest to help you out, and we'll build a championship lineup together here. Looking at anything else crazy moving forward in the fantasy playoffs in terms of strength of schedule. Um, Green Bay defense is an interesting one. If you're streaming defenses, Green Bay has a really tough schedule moving forward with Denver, Chicago, and Baltimore. Now I know that Green Bay defense has been awesome. This is probably one where you don't need to panic on because that defense it kind of does feel matchup proof. Like the other than the Dallas game, this Packers defense hasn't really given up that many points. And we know that Micah Parsons is going to get sacks. We know that Rashawn Gary is going to see one-on-one opportunities. And we know that this defense is so fast that it's going to be hard to run on them. And then once you get pressured, these corners have enough speed to make up and create turnovers, kind of like what we saw against Chicago last week. Other defenses that could be interesting moving forward. Pittsburgh is an interesting one. We saw T.J. Watt kind of get back to what T.J. Watt was last. To get back to what we know T.J. Watt is last week. If Pittsburgh's defense is out there, they've Miami at Detroit at Cleveland, so that Cleveland matchup in the championship is very enticing. You might have to battle through a Detroit in the quarterfinals, but I think it might be worth it because I don't necessarily know that you're going to lose a week because of your defense more than you're going to win it because of your defense. So for that fantasy championship with Cleveland on the schedule, that is one that I'm looking to exploit. Um, I talked about Theo Johnson having the best, tight end strength of schedule moving forward. Um, what else do we got? New Orleans is an interesting one. If you haven't picked up Jawan Johnson yet and he's available and you're looking for a tight end, I mean, they have the fourth easiest strength of schedule. We saw Tyler Shuck kind of play, good football. He was running a lot. That's not going to happen the rest of the way. So he's going to have to find, that those easy throws to make. And that's Jawan Johnson. New Orleans got Carolina, the Jets, and Tennessee to end the year, which to me spells a lot of, just let's get the ball to Jawan Johnson on easy flat routes, on easy drags, on, some speed outs or, even some pop passes. Like Jawan Johnson's been great all year. I think he continues to be that way throughout the fantasy playoffs. Um, Wide receivers. Baltimore's got a tough end of the year schedule. I don't know that you're really confidently starting any wide receivers from Baltimore, I guess, other than Zay Flowers, who finally had a good week this week. But again, I don't know that he's anything more than a flex. I know you drafted him as a wide receiver too. You might need to make other plans of moving forward for Baltimore with New England and Green Bay to end the year. I don't love that. Um, if for whatever reason you're starting a Pittsburgh running back, maybe in your flex you have a Kenneth Gainwell or Jalen Warren. I'll read off that Pittsburgh schedule again: Miami, Detroit, and Cleveland. Detroit and Cleveland have been awesome against the run this year, and Miami's been a lot better than they were to start the year. If you can go other places in that, I like that. Other places than a Gainwell or a Jalen Warren. Um, other Buffalo's got a really tough end of the schedule here. They're at New England, at Cleveland, Philadelphia. That's three good defenses. Excuse me. No, you're not sitting Josh Allen, you're not sitting James Cook. Those are definitely two players that have gotten you here. But I don't know that I'm coming in expecting them to kind of carry me to a championship. I think they're fine. I think they perform, probably a little bit less than what we have seen them perform this year. But if you can build, some advantages around them, it's probably your best course of action than hoping that they can, carry you to a championship. I'm probably obligated to talk about the Packers, given that, as I said before, I'm a Packers fan. Jordan Love is an interesting look. I don't like him this week at Denver. If you can go anywhere else, that's fine. We saw him carve up Chicago. I think it happens again, for the quarterfinals, and the Baltimore's kind of a crapshoot. If you make it there, we'll talk about him when we get to that point. But I'm sitting Jordan Love this week. And I'm playing him at Chicago the next week. Anything else that's relevant? Um, I'll state it again for others coming in here. At this point in the to when you got to the fantasy playoffs, this has probably been led right by your starting lineup. You probably have a Jonathan Taylor, you probably have a Christian McCaffrey, you probably have a Jackson Smith and Jigba, probably have an Amon Ross St. Brown, you probably have a Trey McBride. You have these superstars that have gotten you there, so it's tough to really tinker with your starting lineup. So bench management is certainly what you need to be looking at. If you're a guy who's holding on to like a Rashad White, I think he's droppable. If you're holding on to a Matthew Golden, I think he's droppable. If you're holding on to a Josh Downs, I think he's droppable. You don't need to worry about these guys that maybe they could, maybe they can't. No, let's get those handcuffs. Let's get those streamer defenses. Let's get those kickers to pick up to block other people from picking up, kickers moving forward. You know, I think at this point in your fantasy football season, it's more than just players. It's more of a, you're playing your opponent. What does your opponent need, and how can I stop them from getting that? Um, so if it comes down to it, where we're getting to the 325 game. I guess I'm in the Midwest 325. East Coast will be 425 games, and your opponent has a questionable tight end. Your opponent has a questionable receiver. That would be a time to drop someone on Monday night that's not really doing anything and pick up the guy who would start in place of that player who is not going to play. I know it's kind of a scumbag move, but whatever. It's fantasy football, man. It's cutthroat. We're here to win. We're here to win some money, and we're here to brag. We're here to hold it over your teammate, your league mates' heads all year long. That, hey, I'm better than you, and you know it. I'm on the ball, and I'm going to be the one who tanks your season. It kind of reminds me of in his when he's running for president the first time, when Jeb Bush forgot to renew his website and Donald Trump just bought him out. Like, that's what you can do in fantasy football. It just screw your league mates, and there's nothing better than that. Getting the last laugh over them. Um, Tampa Bay is an interesting look at going back to the strength of schedule here. They across the board, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and tight end. They have a somewhat of a I'm not going to call it a cakewalk, but an easier schedule, which I especially love for Bucky Irving. With Atlanta, and then they're at Carolina, at Miami. Bucky Irving, I just talked up how Miami has a better run defense than we know, but Buck Irvin almost feels matchup proof just because he's using such a variety of ways. He's using pass game, he's used, off tackle, he's used up the middle, he's used at the goal line. Um, I think Bucky Irvin definitely coming back is certainly a guy who can slot in and he can be a league winner. With Mike Evans coming back, it makes me like Baker Mayfield a little bit more. Baker obviously is not playing to what we saw him as, as probably the leading MVP candidate through the first 5 weeks. He's playing banged up. But with Mike Evans coming back, Mike Evans is going to slot back into his wide receiver one role. That helps to alleviate a lot of stress on Baker making good throws and where he can just throw it up, and we know Mike Evans is going to come down with it. Another guy that I can't believe we're in 2025 at the end of the year, in the fantasy playoffs, talking about Philip Rivers. I don't know. I don't think Philip Rivers is you need to pick him up. He's going to come in rusty. I don't know that he plays right away. I'm sure. Well, we'll see. Signing early of the week. Kind of gives a little optimism that he might be elevated right away. But Philip Rivers is not very good to end his year, and now he's had 3-4 years off. And he's gonna a 44-year-old is gonna come in and light the world on fire. I'm rooting for it. I'm a Philip Rivers truther. But I don't know that I'm willing to risk my fantasy playoffs on it. Hey, if you are and he does well, more I salute you, man. That takes a lot of balls to do that. Another one that's kind of interesting. I don't know that we're ever confidently starting Jacksonville Jaguars receivers the rest of the way. I know that Jacoby Myers has kind of been a little diamond in the rough since he's got here. Brian Thomas, I don't think I know Brian Thomas has been probably the biggest disappointment in fantasy football this season. You drafted him end of the first round, start of the second round, maybe mid second round, and you need him to be that wide receiver one. But Jacksonville has Jets, which sure, and then Denver and Indianapolis, who have been really good against the pass this year. So I don't know that Brian Thomas is going to be the guy that's going to get it done for you in the fantasy playoffs. I know if you can go a different route, you should. I know I get holding on to him and holding out hope and dying on hills. I do it all the time. But really, if we're talking about winning a fantasy championship, are you really confident that Brian Thomas is going to be the guy to do that? I'm not. Um, when we're looking at um, Dalton Schultz is interesting. I think he's probably a streamer moving forward if you need a tight end. Houston's got the ninth best strength of schedule for tight ends. Arizona, Vegas, Chargers. Um, Watch if you think that Dalton Schultz, if you need a tight end and you don't feel comfortable about picking up Dalton Schultz this week, I get it. But watch what happens this week. And if he's used in this offense, he has a great end of the year schedule for fantasy with Vegas and the Chargers. Um, if Dalton Schultz is out, is on the field 60% of the time, gets 5 to 8 targets, and comes away with some with some receptions. I think he's worth a consideration for a streamer pickup. Baxter in the chat. Luke, who do you think will be the number one pick in redraft half PPR for 2026? Baxter, I appreciate you being back as always. Appreciate all the questions all year long. Hope to see you the rest of the way. Um, Looking ahead is always a fun thing to do, right? Especially when you're out of the fantasy playoffs. But it's really hard for me not to say Christian McCaffrey, right? He's 87 catches this year. As a running back is crazy. He's going to be the second. He's going to be the first guy ever to have 1,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards in 2 seasons in his career. I know that Christian McCaffrey has a lot of workload on him, but if he's healthy going into next year, like I don't know how you don't pick Christian McCaffrey. It feels like every time you watch the 49ers, he gets at least like the first 800 touches of the game. Other than that, right, it's hard to deny Jonathan Taylor. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm sure, is going to be, probably a top 3 guy. Imagine Jamar Chase is again going to be a top 3 guy. So Baxter, I'll do this for you. I'll give you 5 guys. I who are going to be probably top 5 guys. I would say I'd say Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. It probably I'd say Christian McCaffrey 1. You probably throw a coin toss up between Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor for number 2, and then put those next 3 guys in order, or in any order you want. Which is really interesting. I'm curious to see how the year ends with Justin Jefferson, and if there's any kind of connection between JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson, because right, JJ McCarthy probably had his best game as a pro last week, and Justin Jefferson just wasn't featured at all. So, is this something where Justin Jefferson comes alive at the end of the year and, maybe he goes end of the first round, start of the second round, and maybe you can pick up you know, I guess a steal, if you will, in the early second round next year. I'm not sure. That's one spot I'm really interested to see moving forward. Um, Other guys who, maybe could be in contention for that spot. You know, I don't. I think if I'm taking some outside the box guys for late first round picks, I guess probably the only tight end that's in that conversation is Brock Bowers. Even then, I don't love spending a first round pick on a tight end. I think it's much harder to build around a tight end than it is to build around a stud running back or a stud receiver. I'm just pulling up the fantasy leaders this year. Yeah, like I said, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, and Bijan Robinson are both, first round guys next year. Bijan Robinson probably is that 6th player, maybe slides into that 5 ahead of Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think James Cook is a low first round pick, early second round pick. Puka will find his way into the first round. Amon-Ra St. Brown again, I think he finds his way into the first round. And then I think, if I'm rounding that out, maybe a Brock Bowers at the end of the first round, maybe a Nico Collins at the end of the first round. Maybe even, someone like a Derrick Henry. No, I'm not. No, I'm not putting Derrick Henry in there, even though, not a great year, 10th this year as running back. Saquon Barkley 12th. If those guys, Saquon Barkley probably finds himself into the first round, as people will probably chalk this up to as a fluke year. But I mean, if you can get Saquon Barkley late first round, come back and get someone, if you have like the 8th pick out of 12 teams and you start Saquon Barkley, come back around and get, get a Nico Collins, I think that's a really good starting spot next year. And then is there any quarterbacks that find themselves? Probably not, right? We probably see Josh Allen up there. I imagine Drake May is probably second, third, or fourth quarterback off the list. I think Lamar Jackson has kind of a bounce back year next year. Wow, Lamar Jackson is 16th in quarterback this year. That kind of sucks. I love Lamar Jackson, but again, all those injuries that stack up with your legs, it's hard to be that Lamar Jackson that we know and love. Anyone else watching, please drop some questions in the chat here. I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes. I know we're kind of a short show. I promise we'll have a little bit longer of a show on Thursday, right before we get Thursday Night Football. Who's playing on Thursday? That's always, if you have you have your studs in the first Thursday of the fantasy playoffs. It's kind of a on your seat. Like let's just start off with a nice a nice week here. I'm gonna guess that's gonna be some people. Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're gonna have some Bijan owners. We're gonna have some Baker Mayfield owners. We're gonna have Bucky Irving owners on the field. to start the year. So that'll be fun. Then looking at Monday night, I always love looking at Monday night. I always love having the last guy right because you know exactly what you need. Um, Miami Pittsburgh, I would imagine that Devon Achane is probably going to win some guys this week. Get them to the semifinals of the fantasy um, playoffs. Baxter got a bye this week, so grabbing a defense for Week 17. So going with Buffalo versus Cleveland for Week 18, either Steelers who play Cleveland or Lions who play Minnesota. Thoughts on those defenses? Baxter, I talked about defenses earlier. I will talk about them again because, as you know, this is kind of a good example, right? As I was saying, if you have a bye, you can kind of sit back and kind of plan for the future instead of planning for the now. I will tell you, according to Zach Bruner, go buy me a coffee. Search of Zach Bruner. He has incredible information there that'll help you get through, your fantasy playoffs. I'll tell you, Buffalo. Baxter. Even if you want to, start Buffalo, I like Buffalo Cleveland for that quarterfinal to get you to the championship. And then if you can go out and if you can pick both of them up, I don't hate, and then you have Pittsburgh and Cleveland the championship. Yeah, I'm here with Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Zach.
What's up? I didn't know you were alone, so I was
no, that's right.
Oh shit.
No, we're talking ball.
Okay, cool. Don't let me interrupt.
No, go ahead. I was about to end the show, but you're coming on. Let's keep this train moving.
Oh, okay. You getting snow up by you yet?
Yeah, it sucks.
We're getting fucking buried. It is no fun.
Yeah, I kind of wanted Ashton on because I wanted to tell him how much snow sucks, but he's out conquering the world right now, so not on.
Yeah, I thought we're done with this, but alas, it sounds like we get 3 or 4 days straight of snow. So cool.
I think we're like, and this is like a very niche conversation between two people from Wisconsin, but I think at this point we're like almost as close to as much snow as we've gotten last year already this year.
Yeah, 100%. To go even more niche Wisconsin, people are arguing with me on Twitter because I said the rest of Wisconsin doesn't want Milwaukee part of Wisconsin, and
Correct.
If not for the Bucks, we would not consider them part.
Correct.
People said, well, why do I get to be the gatekeeper? And I don't know, because I have good opinions. I'm not sure.
So when we talk about Milwaukee, Milwaukee, I think, is a very polarizing topic for people who aren't from Milwaukee, right? I think people in Wisconsin have this idea that Milwaukee is not as great as people outside of Wisconsin think that Milwaukee actually is. I think Milwaukee is a nice city. I think it's got some cool landscape. I think it's a cool area on the lake. I think it's done a lot for the culture of Wisconsin, right? Bringing in basketball, bringing in baseball, bringing in beer
Sure.
and cheese and all this. But really, you get to the crux of Milwaukee. That place is a shithole, man.
It's bad. And I mean, to me, it's just Chicago. It's just mini Chicago. It's probably better Chicago.
Yeah.
Because Chicago stinks. I hate Chicago. But I mean, it's so different from the rest of Wisconsin.
Right.
It just doesn't feel like it. So like, I don't know why anyone would consider it Wisconsin. If you think of Wisconsin, like it's just not it whatsoever.
And you know what else kind of sucks about Milwaukee is it's so like, not that it's excluded from the rest of the state, but it's so like in such a corner of the state that it's really hard. It takes a long time to get to from anywhere else in the state.
Yeah, it's completely shoved down. You literally, pretty much, I would say most of people from Wisconsin go to Milwaukee to drive through it.
Yeah.
Like they're not even really going there to enjoy it. It's because they're going on a road trip or something. Maybe they're going to a show there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an odd place.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
And I mean,
do you think
there's such a stigma of people from Milwaukee and stuff like that? I mean, to the point of like the Packer season ticket packages, it's like, it's
right.
a Milwaukee day. Like nobody likes that. Yeah.
Just to play devil's advocate on it, is there any charm, or is there any thought, is there any idea of, it's nice to have kind of a somewhat of an urban vibe, a little different vibe than what you get from the rest of the state with Milwaukee?
Yes, but and I'm on the other side of the state too. So like if I want the big city, I go to the Twin Cities, which I think is better than Milwaukee anyway.
Well, one of the Twin Cities.
Correct. Yeah, Minneapolis is great. St. Paul is a shithole as well. I don't know, because there's like places in Wisconsin, they're not like urban, but you get enough of the city that you need.
Right.
Like Madison's got enough.
Yeah.
Even Eau Claire and La Crosse, they're definitely small cities, but it has enough. Like you're not in one of those places and really acting like there's nothing to do, I guess.
Right. So what I, as someone who lived in La Crosse and I've spent, a ton of time in Eau Claire, and in Milwaukee, um, what's kind of what I like about that is like everything's kind of, everything you want is kind of right there. You can walk everywhere, which that's kind of different than Green Bay. Green Bay is like really spread out to if you really
Yeah.
want to do everything, which kind of sucks. But I mean, Green Bay still has that vibe, right? Of it's somewhat of a city, but it's more of like a town. So I don't know. I think Green Bay, like it's, I'm sure it's 100% biased, but I think Green Bay is one of the best places to live in the whole world. I
Yeah.
think the people are great, the food's great, everything you need is there. But in terms, if you want the real hardcore New York City vibe without going to New York, you're probably better off going to like a Madison.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not very many instances in Wisconsin other than Milwaukee where you're walking to work, you're in the city, you don't need a car, stuff like that. Like, but yeah, for my money, Eau Claire and Green Bay are the two best places. I love Superior because of where it is,
Yeah,
but the Superior as a city, I was there for this weekend, past couple of nights. I forget how many police sirens there are. It's
yeah,
just nonstop. It's
yeah.
kind of bananas. Uh, Baxter does have a question. By the way,
Shout out
about
back
5 weeks ago, I hit you up, asked if I should trade Zach Charbonnet and Worthy for Pickens. That trade worked out great. True. Yeah, no kidding. Xavier Worthy is, I haven't listened to what you've been saying. I assume you're talking about bench management and stuff like that for the fantasy playoffs. Xavier Worthy is droppable, is he
Yeah,
not?
he is. And you know me, I'm as big of a Xavier Worthy guy as there is out there. Um, like I, so my whole thing on Xavier Worthy this year was Rashee Rice is going to be out what 4 to 6 games to start the year. Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelsey slowing down. Xavier Worthy is going to fill that, underneath guy, just get him the ball and let him run. That like just didn't
Mhm.
happen to start the year, and if that's not happening, then he is like no role in this offense. And as we move forward, like his role just keeps going down and down and down. Especially with the Chiefs. I guess they kind of ran the ball a little bit last year or last week, but I mean that run game really hasn't been going strong. There's just not really that solid role that I'm really excited about starting Xavier Worthy this week.
There's no matchup the rest of the way that you feel good about it. And the Chiefs have good matchups ahead. He'll probably have a good game or two ahead, but
You
like
know,
they play the Titans, I think.
yeah,
So let's just say they do. It's which is a great matchup. Chiefs can move the ball easily on the Titans, probably, right?
you know,
Does that mean they have to use Xavier Worthy though? Or could they
no,
just run the ball 35 times?
correct. I mean that feels like a game where that feels like a game where you really get Travis Kelsey going, right? You get that 1-2 punch back with Mahomes and Kelsey, which I think we've talked about it. I talked about this before, but at this point in the season, I think it must have been Chiefs had a primetime game this year, and Travis Kelsey scored a touchdown. Said that's got to feel so fucking awesome as a Chiefs fan to see Mahomes and Kelsey still scoring touchdowns together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing as Brady and Gronk. It's
Right.
Rodgers and Devontae, right? It's automatic, right? You
Right.
know it's gonna happen. It's just when's it gonna happen? Um, I
What I will
imagine he's not gonna retire, so that's gonna continue for next year.
Right. So last year we kind of saw Xavier Worthy kind of come into his own at the end, like outside of fantasy playoffs and into the playoffs. And I don't know that the Chiefs make the playoffs, but if they do, that's where I like Xavier Worthy more. If you're in pools where you have to pick a certain amount of receivers or something, and you don't love anyone from anyone else. Like I mean, Xavier Worthy caught I think like a touchdown in 3 straight playoff games last year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's the next factor. He's
Yeah,
just not a go-to guy. He's
correct.
the guy that puts you over the top. And right now the Chiefs just aren't good enough. They've also had a lot of tough pulls in terms of matchups, and
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough.
Let me ask you this, just because you came in talking about snow. So hypothetically, if like when we talk about the winter months, right? We talk about like I guess December, January, February, like, kind of that 3 month stretch.
Mhm.
Would and as you know from Wisconsin, being from Wisconsin, that winter can last from you know end of September all the way to the start of April. Would you rather have it like that, where it's kind of off and on snowing, you don't really know when winter is going to end, or would you rather have 3 straight months of like horrible blizzard snow stuff, and then you get over with it, March 1st?
Um, because last year was a lot of the off and on, just
Right.
whatever. I think I enjoyed it more, to be honest. There is something nice knowing that if I was in the shit storm and I know it's going to be a short period, maybe that's good.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, it's like, is this going to be till June? Because we've
Right.
had that too.
Right. I think like someone had, I was watching some podcasts, someone had proposed this, and I'm like, it does sound nice to just have like three, you do it for three, put up for with 3 months, and then you get it done with. But I think those 3 months would be hell. I think I'd rather
They
just,
are.
I'd rather just stretch it out and deal with everything stretch out without it being as intense as it would be for 3 straight months.
Yeah, give me like this week where we're shoveling a bunch, the roads are
Yeah.
shitty, whatever, and then if it warms up next week or something, we can just at least breathe easily driving. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's it. Like as long as we can get to where we need to go for Christmas or something, that's great.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's I don't know. We're in a tough spot right now. It's not
Yeah.
fun at the moment. Um, Baxter picked up Christian Watson 6 weeks ago. He's been amazing. Thoughts on continuing this with Reed? I don't think Reed impacts Christian Watson whatsoever.
Agreed.
Yeah, so 2 Packers guys here. We've watched every down of the Packers for, I mean, honestly, going on 3 decades probably. I mean, we've watched nonstop Packers. So Christian Watson's playing the best football he's ever played.
Yep.
He finally looks confident in he's playing football. Before he was just kind of a decoy. He was just running his own routes. He was just extremely inconsistent. He looks good. Now, they talked about Jaden Reed's back. Now we get to open up a whole part of the offense that we haven't had, and they immediately gave him a jet sweep.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not worried about him whatsoever. If anything, Jaden Reed drives coverage down a little bit and gives Christian Watson the ability to go over the top a little more.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's any real urgency to play Jaden Reed, to be honest. Like Packers offense is
No.
I mean, Packers offense is putting up points against some, again, not the greatest defenses, but defenses that can play defense. And Packers are going to make the playoffs. It doesn't really make sense to force feed a guy coming off a collarbone and a broken foot that like nobody's talking about. As soon as they come back.
Is he kind of getting the Tucker Kraft targets? Potentially, yes, because no one's really filling that role at the moment. All the tight ends, like Luke Musgrave's getting targeted downfield. They do have Josh Wiley doing a little bit and Fitzpatrick a little bit near the line of scrimmage. But yeah, they're not really even using they don't even have a Tucker Kraft role. They've completely reinvented it now.
Correct, because that Tucker Kraft role, right, it was let's just get the ball to Tucker Kraft however we can and just have him go run people over. I mean, nobody on this offense can do that like Tucker Kraft does. So now it's kind of get a little bit more creative in how we get different guys the ball. And to your point, I don't know that there's really a Tucker Kraft role anymore.
Yeah, if anyone is taking over that role, which is the screen game essentially, right,
Yeah.
or just really short shit and working after the catch, I would say it's the running backs. If anyone's doing anything, I think they're using the running backs in space a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whether that be Jacobs or, probably Emmanuel Wilson more so than Chris Brooks. But that's what I would say. Maybe Marshawn Lloyd comes back. Obviously, his practice window is open. He could take over that Tucker Kraft-esque role in terms of the open field, but obviously not relevant for fantasy here.
The one tight end that I was kind of talking up, like if you're kind of like, in your position to, you don't have a solid tight end. Like Theo Johnson, I was just reading off some of your strength of schedule stuff. Like Giants have somewhat of a cakewalk moving forward. I think Theo Johnson is a guy you can kind of put in and not even think about it. And then kind of as like a secondary to that, if you're, don't have your quarterback situation figured out, I don't hate Jackson Dart for the fantasy playoffs either.
I don't hate him. Obviously, I wouldn't expect Dart to be like he was earlier in the year just because, yes, he's still going to be reckless and throw his body around, but he's just not getting those called runs anymore, which was extremely beneficial. They did see a step down in play caller, no matter which way you slice it. I think Dayball's a good coach, but regardless if you think he's a good head coach or not, he's a good play caller, and they don't have that anymore. But yeah. I don't mind either of those two. There's a lot of, I haven't looked at tight end ownership, I guess. There's just a lot of good players at tight end that aren't owned. So I have a hard time just being like, this is the guy you need to go get. But I'm sure there's people relying on Zach Ertz a little bit too. Obviously, he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to bring up ownership really quick because tight end is an interesting spot because another one, people are still rolling out Aronda Gadsden, and
Yeah,
you need to stop.
you can get him out of your lineup. I said on before, like, you have a Brock Bowers, you have a Trey McBride, maybe you have you have a George Kittle, maybe you have a Travis Kelsey. Then I think it's pick really anyone based on matchups. Harold Thanon I think is probably the next one out of those. And then I like
Yeah,
Theo Johnson, I like Brenton Strange, like I like Juwan Johnson too. Like I think there are options that people just don't have on their team.
yeah. Fannon's a good one. He's getting used regardless, but if David Njoku's out, I mean, he's going to be pretty damn good. I would say he plays Chicago this week. You got to like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of tight ends that are owned in less than 60% of ESPN leagues, like you said, there's Juwan Johnson. There's Dalton Schultz, who's had a tough couple of weeks just because he played tough defenses, but
Yeah,
I like him.
I think watch Dalton Schultz this week. Like if he's on the field 6% of snaps, gets 5 receptions, like he's got a great end of the year run here.
Yeah, the only thing working against him is that more people have stepped up there. But I mean, even 2 weeks ago, this past week, 3 for 22, which I guess is middle of the road for tight ends if they don't catch a touchdown, but 7 for 55 the week before that. Then a bad week against Buffalo, who's insane against tight ends. You don't want to start any tight end against them. But then before that, he had catches of 6, 7, and 6, targets of 9, 11, and 8. I mean, he's getting used quite a bit. He's one of the only reliable people there, I would say.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, Theo Johnson's owned 43%. Evan Engram, I think, is potentially worth a dart throw coming up here against Green Bay, but you definitely don't need to go there. Brenton Strange is owned in 37%. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, grab him.
Yep.
That is kind of crazy. Otherwise, deeper league guys, Mason Taylor should be good, but he's not. You know who I don't hate is Colby Parkinson.
Dude, I read that he's 5th in tight end points per game since week 10 or something.
Yeah. He's gotten a touchdown in 4 of the past 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then he's got 4+ targets each of the past 3 weeks. Obviously, no Tyler Higbee during that time. He plays Detroit this week, and Detroit's been decent against tight ends, but they're so decimated now. No Brian Branch there. Linebackers are hurt. I mean, you can move the ball against Detroit, and if you can move the ball and they get in the red zone, and I mean, who's going to catch a touchdown? It's going to be Devontae Adams, probably, right?
Yep.
And if he doesn't catch it, the big body is Colby Parkinson. So Don't hate that whatsoever. Yeah, otherwise you don't need to get sneaky at tight end. Taysom Hill ended up not being a thing.
Sucks.
It does. It seemed like it was going to be a little fun at the end of the year, but it wasn't. Cade Otton's not reliable. Luke Musgrave's not reliable. Colston Loveland, in my opinion, is not reliable. I don't need to go him. But yeah, regardless, there's options out there. Don't be rolling out. Like I said, I wouldn't even be wanting to roll out Dalton Kincaid. He's started in a lot of leagues. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do TJ Hawkinson. I don't want to do Aronda Gadsden. I don't want to do Mark Andrews.
Yeah, just talking on Dalton Kincaid here real quick. I mean, how many times have we seen it throughout, the Josh Allen, I guess the good Josh Allen tenure in Buffalo, where we get to the snow games, we get to playoff games where the guy who catches the touchdown is Dawson Knox.
Or if they get in close, Josh Allen's going to be taking it now. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that time of year. Baxter's in a weird spot where he does have Fannin, Kincaid, and Theo Johnson. Considering dropping Theo, but seeing how now that I have a bye week this week and I have space for week 17, a week 17 defense, I figured I'd hold him a little bit longer. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't necessarily feel like you need to hold 3 tight ends, but
my argument on this would be, right, look at the guys who you play, and if they need a tight end, then I like keeping 3 tight ends. Like I said before, that we're now in where your strategy has to change from, like setting your starting lineup. Like your starting lineup is brought you here, your starting lineup is set. It's more of playing what your opponent needs. How can you screw them over? How can you pick up, 2 defenses? How can you pick up 2 kickers? How can you pick up, 3 tight ends if you guys has question marks?
Completely agree. Running back is definitely a position. Obviously, you can screw people over depending on the depth of your league. But yeah, right now is when I definitely want to own multiple defenses. I'm getting a little cocky. I'm looking a week ahead. I'm making sure I have that locked up. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. But Kincaid, if you have a bye, you're not playing this week. So Kincaid then in week 16, I mean, shit, you can talk about this week. These are his fantasy playoff schedule. He's got at the Patriots,
Tough.
at the Browns, home against the Eagles.
Tough.
I don't want to play him.
Yeah.
Will he have a good game? He might have one in there. But if he does, it's probably because he gets like a 30-yard breakaway touchdown, and that's all he does.
Right.
He plays the third most snaps out of the tight ends. Bills, in their perfect world, are wanting to run the football and not pass it.
Yeah, Kincaid can't block.
He can't block. Like, there's just really no reason to trust him. And if I can't trust him, I don't play him. If not going to play him, I'm not going to hold on to him. I would love to bait somebody into playing him, and he has a bad week.
Yeah. Yep.
Could that bite me in the ass? Sure, but probably not.
Those are the moves you have to make to win a championship.
Yeah, you have to. You got to handcuff some certain guys. You got to get some defenses, potentially play those quarterback matchups. If you have Lamar Jackson, you're cutting ties at this point.
Yeah, I know. I have to figure that out in one of my guillotine leagues. I'm in the Final Four. I brought this up last week, but I have Lamar, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones. Obviously, I'm dropping Daniel Jones. But I think Jackson Dart's the best available. Maybe Jacoby Brissett. Well, I like Jacoby Brissett come week 16, week 17. If you can get there.
Yeah.
But I think
not this week.
Yeah, I think you got to go somewhere else than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'm in a super flex league, a deep super flex league. I do have Lamar and Joe Burrow as my two quarterbacks. I could pick up Phillip Rivers.
So
I might play him over.
I was going to bring up Phillip Rivers to you. I was talking before on I'm Phillip Rivers truther. I would love to see him have a good story. Like, he hasn't played football in 3 years. He's he's been dealing with kids. He's going to get one hit. And Phillip Rivers is also the psychopath who probably wants to get hit. But I don't know. You at 44 years old, you get hit once, and you're like, why the fuck am I back?
I get that. Colts offensive line is one of the best in football.
Yeah.
He's got much better receivers than the last time we saw him. And this is the healthiest he has ever been in a week 15. You know what I mean? You're fully correct. But it would be very fun if
I agree.
Phillip Rivers in 2025 won you a fantasy championship.
Agreed. It'd be incredible. That'd be an incredible thing to brag about to everybody.
Yeah. And by the way, maybe this is just a lazy take of mine, but Tyler Warren's been bad the last few weeks. It feels like Phillip Rivers coming back is like, oh, okay, Antonio Gates.
That thought crossed my mind.
Like, it's probably a super lazy take, but I think he's going to throw it to the open guy, and I think Tyler Warren can get open.
Right. Phillip Rivers is not going to run, right? So why not give the guy give Tyler Warren the ball and just let him plow people over?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very
easy pass to make.
I'm interested to see what happens. Also, Jonathan Taylor should catch more passes too.
Yeah. Yep.
With Rivers. I think he's more willing to check it down.
Peter Schrager brought this up, and I know you're not a Peter Schrager guy, but it's an interesting point of, whether we can have the conversation of if Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer or not. But when he starts this week or next week, whatever, does that 5-year reset on if he can make the Hall of Fame?
I think so.
Yeah, that kind of sucks for him, but whatever.
It does, but that also kind of, to be fair, if he is done after this year, and so is Rodgers, obviously he's in that Rodgers window. Right. But he's also at that moment competing with some very good quarterbacks that retired during that time too. Right. So there's a chance he can find a sweet spot here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, in my opinion, he's not a Hall of Famer at the moment, so it doesn't really matter. But, what could make him a Hall of Famer is coming off of his couch to win a Super Bowl.
True. And as everyone's talked about, like, who do you really trust in the AFC to win a Super Bowl?
If you get in, that's all you need. And if they get in, I think Sauce Gardner could come back.
Yeah.
So, that's massive, obviously. DeForest Buckner is getting healthier. That's good. We'll see.
I also, people say, anyone can win the AFC. I think people are kind of discrediting how good of a team Denver has. I think people are discrediting, I know they haven't played anyone, but New England is a really good fucking team. I guess that's probably it. But Denver and New England aren't bad teams.
No. New England has a worse defense, but they're a more complete team. The Broncos, it's just if they find offensive consistency, it's over. they're
Right.
going to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, they should be able to run the ball all game against everybody.
Yes, and J.K. Dobbins, I think, could come back maybe as well, which is a big boost there. Um, and they want to run the ball now. So like they're, by the way, another person who's fully droppable, Troy Franklin. They're pulling him. He's
Yep.
not even the wide receiver too. They're going with Pat Bryant because he can block. It's not
Right.
even a receiving thing anymore. They're like, okay, let's not have Bo Nix throw it everywhere. Let's run the football as much as possible, and
Yeah,
that
I
helps them there.
think Bo Nix probably runs a little bit more too come these fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. The other little thing I had written down coming into this week, we're getting into incentives football.
big time.
now. And one person with a lot of incentives, he had a massive incentive heavy contract, was Stephon Diggs.
Oh, hell yeah.
Stephon Diggs has the potential, if he can average like around 75 yards, around like 4 to 6 catches per game, I think he can earn himself up to like realistically $2 million more.
Yeah.
So look for him to go. I mean, he's got the Bills this week, dude.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, start
mean,
up Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, exactly.
Also-
like he could be huge.
Stephon Diggs is just doing what he's done his whole NFL career, is just helping those young quarterbacks make the next step.
Yeah, and he's been a leader all around this year too.
Right.
So like in the past, it's like, yes, he's a good player and stuff, but now his teammates want him to succeed,
Correct.
which is a new thing. He's also healthy, coming off a bye week.
He's also a really good fucking player.
Great player. Yeah, people forget. First part of the year too is also sort of getting him back into football shape, making him. He's still the rehab, from his injury and stuff. But he could potentially be a league winner for somebody.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
Especially with Patriots' schedule.
Yeah, I think if you're any team in the NFL, you want Stephon Diggs on your team.
Yes, 100%, 100%. A lot of teams wish they had a wide receiver like him right now.
Have you had the stuffed nachos from Quick Trip?
They're great.
Yeah, they're not bad.
I wish there was more, but they're great.
Yeah, and this is probably a blasphemous thing to say, being from Wisconsin. Get a little cheesy.
I fully agree with you. There's something else at Quick Trip too, which it might be just be like a roller bite or something. I'm not sure. It's just like a tube of cheese.
Yeah,
it's a little too much.
Yeah, they have like a, I don't know if it was like the Mex-Tex burrito or something like that, where it was just straight.
100%. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's just straight nacho cheese.
Yeah, it's a lot. First couple bites, it's like, fuck yeah, this is great.
Yeah, you get
then it's a chore.
You get blasted in the face with cheese and peppers.
Yeah, which is great. They also just had a pizza that was just that.
Yeah,
that burrito squeezed out onto a pizza crust.
So Quick Trip needs to like figure out how to cook pizzas. They need to like leave them in the oven for like 5 more minutes. But that tailgater pizza that they have is incredible with the cheese curds and the sausage.
Yes, they have good pizzas. They do have. They have a good the topping game they have going on right now.
But I'm telling you, Quick Trip just crisp up that crust a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, if you're gonna have a thicker crust, you gotta cook it.
You gotta have some crunch, not some chew.
Yeah, it's just doughy and a lukewarm, doughy mess.
Yeah,
at times. Put us on the product testing team of Quick Trip. I feel like we could do some good stuff. We're a good ideas team too.
Quick Trip has good soup too.
They do. Underrated. Have you ever done the play of buying one of those big bags of soup?
No. I always just get like the 16-ounce cups for lunch, but I've always wanted. Yeah, I would not say no to getting a big bag of soup.
Yeah, I've never pulled the trigger, but it always appeals to me.
Right.
I just don't know what to do with it.
Right. You have to freeze it, I think.
I think so. Do you just like chip off a block of soup?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. The chicken dumpling is what I get for lunch every day, and it's an incredible soup.
Across the board, I feel like chicken dumplings always a hit.
It's a safe play.
Better than chicken noodle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, chicken noodle is kind of like that's like it's like a 24 power, whereas you bring chicken dumpling in and that kind of feels it's a bubble screen that goes for 25 yards.
100%. Yeah. It always hits. Noodles just in general in a chicken noodle soup are hit or miss for me. They can get a little.
I don't like too big a noodle.
Don't like too big a noodle.
I like the elbow macaroni instead of the big noodles.
That's true. Yeah, the big, like the flat baked ones are bad.
Yeah.
Like fettuccine basically in there, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
Also, Quick Trip has great mac and cheese.
Yes. That always hits. And you
Mhm.
can buy a big bag of that too.
Oh,
That
yeah.
also has been
You
that might be a Super Bowl party idea this year. I might just
you ever
do that.
you ever get the big family ones in the hot spot? Oh, man.
They're
I'll go to
cheap
oh, yeah,
too.
I'll go to town on those.
If I do an order ahead or something, I always get one of those for sure. It's like $3.
I gotta order ahead more. I hate going there and there's just nothing in the hot spot.
Yeah, it's the move for sure. If you can think about it, just playing a little bit, it's for sure the move.
Yeah, the sweet and spicy wings, I gotta order those. That's the best thing they got there.
Those are I like parm garlic too though.
Not into that flavor. I've never
No?
had it in my entire life, yeah. I don't like garlic and I don't like parm, so
That's very surprising.
yeah, I know.
They need a lemon pepper though. I feel like
Big
they could hit that.
We
We're getting a Wingstop finally on this side of the
Hell
state
yeah.
in Eau Claire. It's about time.
Hell yeah. So Legend Larry's is a bar here in Green Bay. I think there's a couple bars around. Um, they have the best. It's my favorite food in Green Bay is their raspberry habanero wings. That
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah. So I had a buddy come up from. He lives in Madison. He was in town, so we all went there. I had raspberry habanero, 12 of them, and then 12 bacon or hot bacon barbecue wings, which are incredible too.
That does sound good. Yeah, that's all. I mean, I remember that place because you wrote it up
Mhm.
in the NFL drafting for the Packers on Let's Go Wisconsin. All hole in the wall wing places are great.
When Jason Kelce was here, he said he loved them, which I'm sure
Oh,
Jason
really?
Kelce would love anywhere we can get wings and beer. But to single that place out,
Yeah, that's sick. How do you feel about the places that do the jumbo wings, like the huge wing? It's
yeah,
not just a drum.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they're fine. I guess I don't have a strong opinion, but I mean, chicken's chicken.
It's good. I don't know. I don't know if I consider it wings.
Yeah, it's more
In
like a
my
leg
opinion.
at that point.
Yeah, it's just big bits
You,
of chicken, I guess.
I know I've probably asked you this before, but you like legs or drummies more? Or I'm sorry, drummies or wings?
I think I like the wings more.
I guess it'd be flappers. Drummies or flappers. I
Yeah,
like the flappers.
flats are. I like it.
I guess it's easier to eat. You can just bite around the bone. Where with the flats, you have to kind of pick and open up the bones and shit. But
I mean, here's the thing. If I have like a bigger beard, the drums suck. 'Cause
yeah,
that gets in everything. But like the flats, you get your hands messy. So it's like
yeah,
one of the two.
you got to get into the weeds with the flats.
So something's getting messy. I notoriously, if Jake Osmond's listening at all, knows how much I hate it. Like if I get my hands sticky, I fucking hate it. It's one of the things I hate the most in this world. So that's why I never get wings. I definitely never get ribs at any place I go to. I
Yeah,
love them, but I never get them.
I know what you mean, but I feel like as soon as it gets sticky, you go all in. Then you're a caveman just going to town.
I guess, but I
I
mean
don't know.
that's the only way to do it at that point.
I like
It's
getting my
tough
hands
though.
dirty with food. You know that. Yeah, I like getting in there.
Yeah, I'm not speaking to the right person.
My face
Uh,
being a different color after I eat.
I went back and watched a few ranking show episodes recently, and I just posted the is water wet debate.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that wasn't a ranking show thing; that was just a fantasy show thing. But I posted that in one of our recent articles, and I never got more mad than rewatching.
oh
That.
yeah.
You were diabolical in that fucking debate.
I'm
But the fries with your, I think you talked
Oh
about chili
yeah,
fries, just scooping them in your
yeah.
mouth, just a wet chili fry.
And after it,
It sounded good, but
yeah.
yeah, it sounded like you got messy.
Yeah. I love getting messy with it. So that water, if the water's wet, I've had this debate with countless people, and I would say 90% of the people have the same reaction that you have. I'm
It
able
was
to I'm able to swing some people, but it's hard to.
there's just multiple times in it where I did enjoy just watching myself just try to either not blow up or just figure out where I am at that
Yeah.
point. Because you kept contradicting yourself and then you agreed. Well, it also didn't help that Trevor flip flopped between us
That's what you
the
got to
entire
do.
time.
Yeah.
God, it drove me crazy. We need to revisit it though. And rewatching it, like I said, I just rewatched it. It makes me feel like we need to have like a philosophical segment. Like there's a philosophical question like that. because I feel like I don't know, because I don't think a full like podcast would be good for that, but just a segment at the end of a show, like we have a philosophical question like
Yeah.
that. Is water wet? I'm sure there's other. I mean, not a good example, but if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? Stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Critical thinking stuff.
Yeah. I used to have a list where I would write down things that don't make sense to me. I gotta find what happened to that list.
That would be a good list to have. Yeah. If
I have one more
any,
question for you before you.
we'll end on your question. If anyone is still listening or watching this after the fact, definitely ask any fantasy questions you have in the chat, in the comments, wherever it may be. We are also live Wednesday night. We're live Thursday night, hour before Thursday night football, up until Thursday night football. So if you need any help setting a lineup, final pickups right before Thursday night football starts, definitely come and join us. Definitely come ask any questions. We'll be hanging out, talking ball. Last week was an interesting one because we had the Amon-Ra St. Brown situation. We helped a lot of people out there. That was a live just figuring out what the fuck was going on. But yeah, we're here to help you win and progress in your fantasy playoffs this week. So don't feel like you're doing it alone. If you just need a sounding board in terms of, hey, trying to figure out a tough lineup decision, come ask us, get our opinion. If you listen to us, cool. If you don't, that's fine too. Rub it in our face if you're correct. It's all good.
And I'll tell you, we'll probably be correct.
Usually.
Mount Rushmore of, like, I guess we're America. We like America. We're American guys. Best country in the world. Mount
100%.
Rushmore of, I guess, of iconic, famous, most American people.
Most famous Americans of all time.
I guess, yeah. I'm trying to like split this up because like you could easily go right, like you could just do George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and John Adams, right? Those are the four guys who created the country. You guys, Ben Franklin. I'm trying to do it like probably have a George Washington in there, then maybe like entertainment. You got to have like an Elvis in there.
Elvis is good. I think Michael Jordan's on there for one.
He's probably the number one athlete, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's
without a doubt.
It's probably him or Brady, but I think Jordan beats Brady in that.
I mean, Jordan was the first truly international star.
Right.
And then now he's got the brand. Yeah, he's far and away.
Yeah, okay. So like
well, I mean, LeBron would be the next one to push him for that.
Okay, I was going to ask, what about like a John Cena?
John Cena's very good. I mean, before he, are we doing a lot? We're doing Dead too. Hulk Hogan's on there.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan's biggest wrestler of all time. So
yeah. So
one of the biggest stars of all time.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say, well, now Michael Jackson coming to my mind. I'm thinking about music. If I have to pick one for music, it's Elvis or Michael Jackson. Probably Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's probably fair. Actors, Tom Cruise.
I don't know. How many Tom Cruise movies have people actually seen though?
I'm not the correct person to ask because I don't know if I've seen one.
I've only seen the Top Gun movies.
I haven't even seen those.
Yeah.
I'm seeing something. I just don't know what it is.
What about like a Jack Nicholson? Again, I'm not the one to ask for. I don't watch many movies.
I almost feel like, I mean, that's probably a bad take. Again, I'm exactly the same as you. I was about to say, I think he's known for not movies, but that's not true whatsoever. So scratch that.
Like, if you were to ask me, who, I
mean, Donald Trump is up there.
That's what I was going to bring up, Donald Trump. But if you're to ask me, like, an actor, like, who do you think is, who's the actor? Who's the guy that, like, when you see him?
The Rock.
Is he bigger than Cena?
Yeah, because of the movie stuff, I would say. Well, also just, I mean, yeah, he's bigger than Cena.
Okay. But if you tell me to pick an actor as the guy who, like, this is who I want to watch every time I watch a movie, the actor that I'm picking is the guy who plays McLovin.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know his name, but yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's not a bad one. I don't mind that take.
But in terms of like my favorite actor of all time is Jonah Hill, and I would guess that a lot of people don't have that same opinion.
Even like current Jonah Hill, or do you
Agreed.
like fat
Yeah,
Jonah Hill?
all Jonah Hill. I think Jonah Hill's incredible.
Again, I think I've only seen him in Superbad, so I don't know.
I mean, sure, you've seen Wolf of Wall Street, no?
No.
I mean, that's an incredible. That's a movie you need to see.
Okay. Yeah, I should. I heard it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's bigger, I guess? I don't know. Who's like Guy Fieri? I don't know. Who I don't know.
Like if I'm doing like if this is a personal one to me, it's like the top four. I mean, you have to have George Washington, the creator of the country, right?
Is he there because he's from the UK though?
But
He's
yeah,
an American.
he's an American.
Okay. Okay.
You know, right? He's an American.
Okay. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. We'll claim him. He's a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's George Washington. It's Johnny Knoxville. It's
Sure.
it's
Great one.
it's probably
Don Vito.
Right. I'd probably throw Eminem in there.
Okay.
And then I'll round it out with I don't know. I'll round it out with like Anthony Edwards. Like that. Those are the like if you're talking American. Oh, Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut. I mean, yeah, for sure. If people don't know Joey Chestnut, they're about to.
Right.
And I mean, Japan certainly knows
Correct.
Joey Chestnut. So.
Very well.
Yeah. Nightmare. He's there. White Godzilla.
One of the better I might throw SVP in there, but one of the better 30 for 30s is that hot dog eating one. I haven't watched many 30 for 30s lately, but the one that they're doing on Stuart Scott, I mean, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it has to be. I haven't watched many 30 for 30s just in general. Whenever I do, they're great.
Yeah.
I just don't do it. Yeah, Stuart Scott. It's going to be good.
That might be a conversation we can have on a different show as the best Sports Center anchors.
Yes, but I don't know if it's going to be that much of a debate, is it?
Probably not. I mean, I'm just talking about like listing guys and.
Do you know? And we're having an off-air conversation at the current moment now. Do you know when that comes out? That SVP or not SVP, Stuart Scott one.
They were doing a promo for it during Monday Night Football. That's what made me think of it.
Because we should do a ranking of best Sports Center anchors at that time.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, to parlay that conversation into this one again, if anyone's listening, we're at the end of the football season, man. It's heartbreaking.
It is.
I don't know what to do with myself. You're going to say, Zach, maybe you should just sleep more than 4 hours a night. I say, no, that's stupid. We got to do other stuff. So we want to know what you want us to do. We want to parlay this into other stuff this offseason. We don't want to just go radio silent and show back up next football season. So if you want like fantasy basketball stuff, let us know if you want that. If you want us to stick to strictly sports, maybe we do some NFL, like go heavy on NFL draft stuff, dynasty fantasy football stuff, or do you want us to mix in like the ranking show where we rank anything and everything, like the best forms of potato, the best Pop-Tarts, the stuff like that? Do you want us to do more goofy non-sports stuff? We could play a lot more games and stuff on here too. Anything and everything we're open to. We just want to know what you guys want to see, and we'll do it. I would say.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. With that, I appreciate everyone listening. Thanks for sticking in with me, Zach. Appreciate you coming on. I'll send it off with watching Aaron Rodgers bring the belt out was incredible.
Yes. I really wish he got to do it against Chicago, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
He's a legend. I hope he doesn't retire, but I'm afraid this is it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you soon. Again, Wednesday night, Thursday night, hour before Thursday Night Football. Come join us.